Now let us see what is chemical equation. Let us take one example, which is burning of magnesium. Burning of magnesium. What happens here is magnesium, or let us say, let me write whole name. Magnesium combines with oxygen gas to form or to produce magnesium oxide. This is the chemical reaction which takes place during burning of magnesium. So the same chemical reaction, which is burning of magnesium, can be represented using this equation, right? This is an equation which represents a chemical reaction which takes place during burning of magnesium. And this type of representation of reaction is called chemical equation. This is nothing but chemical equation, right? What is chemical equation? It is nothing but representation of chemical reaction. So chemical equations are used to represent a chemical reaction. Used to represent chemical reactions. Now, there are two ways in which this reaction can be represented. One way is written like this, where we have used the complete name of reactants and products. The other way to write same equation is by using atomic symbols and formulae of the substance. So another way in which this reaction can be written is like, so for example, symbol of magnesium is Mg, oxygen gas is O2, and when they combines, they form magnesium oxide, which is MgO, right? So this is another way to write same equation using symbols and formulae. This type of chemical equation is known as word equation. This is known as word equation, and this type of chemical equation is known as, normally it is known as chemical equation using symbols and formulae. So, so when we say chemical equation, so we mean this thing. That means using symbols and formulae. So this is simply chemical equation, maybe in bracket I may write using symbols or symbols and formulae. Okay. So in general, chemical equations generally represented or written like this, not like uh, this using word equation. Okay. Now, uh, one thing that I would like to highlight here is this in this chemical equation. Let me write it again. Magnesium, when reacts with oxygen, it forms magnesium oxide. Now, we are fully aware of law of conservation of mass. Law of conservation of mass. So during chemical reaction, mass is conserved. That means total mass before reaction and total mass after reaction, that must remain same, right? Let us say mass of magnesium, if it is m1, if mass of oxygen is m2, and let us say MgO, mass of MgO in this reaction is m3, then as per law of conservation of mass, the sum of these two masses must be equivalent or equal to mass of product. For this to happen, for masses to remain conserved, the number and types of atoms in the reactant must be equal to number and type of atoms in the product. So now let us see what is happening in this reaction. So we have one magnesium in reactant, one magnesium atom in product, two oxygen atom, O2, right? So in oxygen gas, we have two oxygen atoms, and here we have only one oxygen atom. So this number is not balanced, and hence mass is not conserved, but it should always be conserved, and hence there is a need to balance these numbers, or there is a need to balance mass. So the chemical reaction or chemical equation, which is written in this form, where total number of atoms towards left or in reactant is not equal to total number of atoms in product, such type of reaction or equation is called unbalanced chemical equation. This is unbalanced chemical equation, and we must always balance it to make it a true chemical equation, because this law is always followed. So masses must remain conserved. So total mass of reactant must always be equivalent or equal to total mass of product. This unbalanced chemical equation is also known by another name, which is called skeletal chemical equation. Skeletal chemical equation. Now, a skeletal chemical equation is just a representation of chemical reaction. That means this chemical equation uh, provides the initial information that these two substances are reacting and this substance is formed. Magnesium and oxygen, in this reaction, magnesium and oxygen are reacting and they are combining to form magnesium oxide. Now, how many atoms of oxygen and magnesium are combining to form how many atoms of or how many molecules of magnesium oxide is not, that information is missing in this chemical equation, and hence it is unbalanced, or it is just a skeletal chemical equation, and there is a need to balance it, which we are going to see in the next lecture. We will see how to balance a given chemical equation. So now I hope that the concept of chemical reaction and chemical equation is clear. So what is chemical reaction and what is chemical equation? This concept we must uh, be very clear about these two concepts. So chemical reaction is transformation of one substance into new substance. So it is transformation of one substance into a new substance, right? And chemical equation, so it is basically it is a way to represent chemical reaction. So we can say that it is symbolic representation of symbolic representation of chemical reaction uh, using atomic symbols and formulae. Using atomic symbols and formulae. Okay, so now we will see how to balance chemical equation in the coming lecture.